I wanted to do a video. This one is going to be on this video I saw on BWD. This is a video I've done before in the past, but I've done one video on it. It was kind of a rant after a hookup and me being pissed off. If you know anything about me in that way, you already know what I prefer with men in that regard, and we'll get into it. And then another time I did a video on it. And that time it wasn't really that bad, I don't think. I just think it was a random video I did. I got rid of it because I felt like the way it was presented was just a little off, basically. Like, I don't know. The lighting was off, my hair was kind of weird, and I don't know. I just kind of like felt like, I don't know, like for some reason I thought like it was not really the most appropriate delivery. So anyway, BWD did this video basically on white men's insecurity, and she was talking about how black men and white men, how they relate to each other, the everyday average white man and everyday average non-black um, man, basically. And she just touched upon a bit of the insecurity that is had by some people, of other races that are, men. Um, and she was talking about how sometimes black people, black women who are in relationships, dating, or any sexual contact or relationship or encounter with men of other races, sometimes they do ask if they've been with black men because they're insecure about their own, about their own experience, basically, with men of other races, and they feel, in her words, that they may not enjoy or may not be satisfied as much with other races of men as black men, And it's like, from my perspective, this is something that I've complained about for a while. It really has been. It's been something that I talk about with white men. Often it seems like they do have some sense of insecurity in that regard. And it's not specifically like that they'll ask. In my experience, it's never been like they ask if you've ever, been with a black man. It's kind of like the assumption that you have, or that, um, you're going to need someone who's very endowed because you're a black woman to be satisfied, you know? And that's the thing. She came with this pretense that black men were more, endowed than white men, and as if, all white men are going to feel insecure about, you know, their sexual ability, you know, compared to black men. The thing is with that whole situation is this. From my perspective, some women it would actually work out because they would be like, um, I'll just say what happens for me. Basically, I generally get a lot of men who are white who are very endowed, okay? And that's a major complaint that I have. That And it always seems like they are less insecure, less uncomfortable with the situation because they feel they're endowed enough. See, every guy I've ever had sex with, or any guy that I've dated, any guy that I've been involved with in any way, has always been bigger than average. Even when I try to get with guys who are average, I always end up with guys who are above average. And that's a major thing for me because I don't like men who are endowed like that. Because to me, honestly, I don't even see them as endowed. I think they have too much down there, honestly. And it's too big, and I don't get aroused by it. I don't find it works for me really. You know, a guy can go down on me for one and try and do foreplay for one, and he's still not going to be able to get in there. Basically, I'm a very small, petite woman, 5'1", very petite. So trying to get someone like that to, you know, it's just not something that actually works for me. It's a major reason why I don't prefer bigger. I prefer smaller. I prefer, honestly, I mean, like, in my past, you could say that I like, really, honestly, I like small. Honestly, just being completely honest, I really do just like small. But I guess you could say I like average. But the thing is, like, sometimes, in some cases, people who are like black women generally, I think, and I think for me, I just thought maybe it was just me. Maybe it was just my experience that a lot of, white men were always endowed. And when I say that, I mean like they were like 9, 8 inches in many situations and very thick. And they were more confident to, pursue you because they don't feel um in, insecure in that way, like, obviously. But it's just like, for me, it's a backfiring situation because I like men who are smaller, specifically. Um, and when I say smaller, especially, I mean like people who are. What I mean by smaller doesn't always mean in inches. Sometimes there's also the fact of being narrower, and then also there's other parts to being narrower. It's different things, okay? Um, I don't want to get into extreme detail on that. So, um, basically, I generally like what would, in one regard or another regard, that's something that's small, basically. But, a lot of the time I experience a lot of guys who are small, specifically small, like, I mean, in inches, generally don't like black women because of what she's talking about with the insecurity to black men. They're gonna feel like, they're gonna not be able to give as great of an experience because they think that size matters for every woman. And size only matters in the sense of more is better. Even though a lot of women like me actually prefer smaller. And so, to me, I mean, like, that mindset has always messed with me as a, black woman, because if someone assumes that I like bigger and I really like smaller, how is that gonna end up for me? I'm gonna end up with a lot of guys, like I have, that were at best, the smallest I could find was guys who were like 6 inches. Like, there was only one guy that was like 6 inches. And God, I had a very fun time with him. Um, Other than that, they were usually 6 or 7 inches for me. I've never had sex with a guy over 7 inches, honestly. It's not something I'm comfortable doing. I mean, my body, I know more than anyone else does. And so I know what I can handle and what I can't. And a lot of people love to push women and be like, you can have kids, so you should be able to be with, like, any guy. I don't really care about that. I don't really care because I'm not pregnant. I'm not having kids right now. So that really has nothing to do with my sexual pleasure and endurance and what I like. But yeah, I just get tired of the fact that, people make that assumption on, black women, you know. And I think what she was saying with, the insecurity, I do think there's something there, but I don't really think, like I said, it's always there because in many cases, people are well endowed and it has nothing to do with their race. She came with this idea that black men were more endowed than white men. And I mean, the only time I was a guy that was actually really thick or bigger, and I didn't have sex with him. I've never had sex with a guy who was big, by the way. Um, in that case, that person was Asian. So I mean, like, people always are assuming like penis size is biggest with black men, smallest with Asians, and it's like nonsensical to me because it's like that's not always the case, you know. Some people are, you know, just bigger, and some people are smaller. There's some black men that are really tiny, you know. I know because I've gone on this one site for people who are a little bit smaller, on the smaller end, I guess, of penis sizes. There's like a dating site for that. And um, in that situation, you could see that there are a lot of black men there, you know. There are a lot of white men there. So, saying like black men are all endowed and white men all have like smaller penises, it's just nonsensical. I never understand why people would believe such a thing, you know, or, you know, think such ignorance, you know. But I do think that, people who are smaller, who are white, generally have that assumption about black women, you know. And like I said, it's a struggle for women like me who actually like white men who are smaller. You know, I prefer men who are smaller in general, um, whether they're white, mixed race, Hispanic. You know, I'm kind of a rainbow swirl, I guess you could say. But I do prefer, like, I've only dated white men and like one, two, three men that were Hispanic or part Hispanic. But mostly I've dated white men. Oh yeah, and one guy who was like Asian. But yeah, I've only been involved with guys who are Hispanic, white, or Asian. So yeah, that's all I really have to say in this video. I just think like with insecurities of that nature, I don't think it's specific to white men. I do think that it does apply more to Hispanic men, honestly. And I think that, I don't know why that is. I think that might have to do with size because Hispanic men tend to be the smallest men, and black men are smaller usually than white men. Physically, I'm saying. Not on penises. I'm saying actual physical size. You know. So I think, small man syndrome can create more symptoms of basically being insecure, especially if you feel your penis size is average or smaller than average, specifically, and you're coming across women who you think are with men who are much bigger than you in physical size and, um, possibly penis size, So I think with Hispanic men, I can see that happening more often, honestly. And I don't know, I do agree with what she was saying, basically. So that's all I have to say. Thanks for watching. Bye. Oh shoot, it's not working.